Welcome to Dad Doesn't Have Time for This, the show where I review things in a quick manner and then compare them to everything else in existence. Today we're going to talk about Code Geass, an old show that I just barely finished because I'm the old guy who watches all the anime. And Code Geass, in standard Sunrise fashion, is broken up into two halves of 25, like just about every Gundam show I've watched for the last 2 decades. And you know what, sometimes I like this approach, sometimes I don't. It kind of results in like sort of a pseudo climax where you could stop at the halfway point or you can keep going. And this one, I'd say they handled it pretty well. There's some other shows that like Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, the climax at the end of the first half was so good I couldn't bring myself to watch more of it, even though I love that show. So Sunrise, they have a habit of doing this, but as a whole, I really appreciate standalone shows where you watch it, you're done, and you move on, and it's not this continual grind. So Code Geass, featuring Lelouch de Bretagne, he's a good character. He's almost comically campy, but in a good way. Just huge flares of overly dramatic prose just for the sake of being overly dramatic. The whole concept of Zero is just meant to be this overly dramatic representation of a character who goes out and tries to accomplish something. And I really appreciated it. It reminded me kind of Death Note, where the main character is kind of a bad guy, but kind of a good guy. Like, you're going against, you're railing against bad people, but you're doing it in a not so good way. So there's pros and cons to his approach. All in all, I appreciated that. If I had to have one gripe though, it's that like a quarter of the way into season 2, I could see where they were going from a mile away. It was completely obvious. Spoilers. Like, when Lelouch starts to push away anyone and everyone that cares about him, whenever given the opportunity, you can see him even like pause before he turns on the act, that clearly this is a man who's striving to push everyone away from him. So when the series ends with him as the Emperor and having his best friend kill him in order to unite the world under Zero, it was so obvious that that's what they were going to do. It wasn't even. Seldom have I seen an ending coming from so far away, but this one I saw coming from a million miles away. But I knew where they were going, and I'm like, I've already come this far. I might as well see where they're going to take this in the end. And all in all, I thought it was handled well. I felt bad that his sister didn't realize what he was doing until the very end, but they were both operating under the same plan, basically from different angles. So good on him for shouldering the burdens that his sister didn't have to. And also, I do need to mention that unlike most Gundam series, this is not a show I could recommend to children. Table-kun is the least of your worries, and if you know about Table-kun, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to explain Table-kun. Much like Truck-kun, it is the inanimate object that does something sort of horrible from an anime I can't even describe it. Google it at your own peril. I'll just leave it at that. So definitely not a kid-friendly show, but it was very well done. I enjoyed it. No, I would say Code Geass is the 90th best TV show of all time, and I really do need to review more TV shows because it just seems like a list that needs to be filled out. So there you have it, Code Geass. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later.